in the master data topics, we try and understand the master data concepts, because that's basically the data which is fed in the SAP IBP, and which actually triggers all the functionalities of the processes and the overall IBP, activities. So in terms of configuration, basically once we are aware about how the master data works, once we are aware about the definition of the master data and what's its function or role in the IBP process, this master data is fed or kind of configured in the SAP IBP. And once the configuration is done, then normally the user test the data with all their processes, and this is something called as a user acceptance test. Okay. And once the user confirms that all the processes are working fine, then they give a go ahead to the IT teams to transfer the configuration of this master data from the test scenario, that is the test system or the test planning area, into the production planning area. So when we are in the production planning area, everything should be up and running. However, this is the process that normally is followed for the organization who are in the process of implementing the SAP IBP process is already up and running. You don't need to really too much think about the configuration part and the master data part, because it's already done by the IT teams or whoever was responsible for the project management for the IBP implementation in the organization. But having said this, if you are key user or power user, what we call it, who's actually called as a BPO in most of the organization, which is basically business process owner. That means if you own the process, for example, if owns the planning process, then she is kind of BPO or also key user for IBP related to the planning function. Then in that case, she needs to understand how the master data works and how the master data operates, so that in case of any problems in the future process, he or she can get into the details of the problems and then identify the solution and fix them. So that's the importance of the master data. It's extremely important to have a clean set of master data in the system. And this is where most of the organizations fail, because of the lack of the knowledge or because of the lack of the training. Sometimes the master data is not correctly updated in the system, or in most of the cases it is updated correctly in the implementation phase. However, in the future processes, when the process is handed over to the actual users, they sometimes tend to not update the master data, because as and when there is a requirement to update the master data, okay, you have to get into the system and update the master data. I'm referring to some of the master data which is basically dynamic in nature. For example, the unit price, which is dynamic. Yeah, it can, whatever unit price you are selling your products in this month, it can change in the subsequent months. Then the lead time of the vendors, when you procure the materials from the vendors or from the suppliers, it is dynamic, it can change. Okay, lead times to your customer, so on and so forth. So there is some amount of master data which is dynamic, which keeps on changing. So user need to understand what are the dynamics for this master data, and then they have to keep updating the master data in the regular interval. However, the master data which is static, for example, the product name, the product description, customer name, customer descriptions, something like this. This is more or less you are going to sell the same product over and over each of the month. So you don't really need to change, most of the things related to this master data. Okay, so I'll just check if it has joined. Sorry, I've not shared. Okay, now I share my screen. Are you able to see my screen? Okay. Okay. So in the first half, we'll touch upon the presentation, try and understand the concepts of the master data configurations. Okay. And in the second half of this training, that is maybe an hour later, we will get into the system. in the web interface and try and update, some of the master data attributes and key figures. Okay. So you can just go through this disclaimer. I'll give you a minute and then we move forward. Okay. So the next slide here on the screen is agenda or the topics for session, and it will also be continued. So using configuration to model a business, okay, attributes, master data, time profiles, planning area, planning levels, key figures, and planning operators. So most of these keywords or most of these words you might have already heard in the previous session. So we'll just have kind of a deep dive into this and try and understand what exactly does it mean and how does it, contribute to the SAP IBP system. So planning area, the most important part or the primary part of the configuration of SAP IBP is the planning area. So this area is, though it is called as a planning area, it does not mean it is restricted only for the planners. This area is the entire, processing of the IBP, and even group of finance team will have access to this, to certain extent based on their profiles. The manufacturing team, the customer service team, the planning functions, and also to certain extent the sales team. So in the planning area, everything is basically fed in the planning area. Okay. So for example, these planning areas are sometimes based on the business units. Okay. If a manufacturing or for example, if any organization is having a two or three or multi-business units, okay, or SBU, what we call as a strategic business unit, then a specific business unit or specific business industry within the organization would have one dedicated planning area, and some other business unit would have a different planning area. Okay. They can all have one planning area, that's also possible. Okay. It depends on the company strategy on how to optimize, the usage of planning area so that the efforts can be dedicatedly put in for the respective organization or respective SBU. Okay. So in here you see a lot of bubbles, a lot of dots talking about the attributes. So each and every figure or, a definition related to master data is called as attribute. Okay. And this, like, there will be many number of attributes which will get consolidated within the master data field. So you will have different columns. If you download the master data, you will have different columns in the report, and each of these columns are called as the attributes. Okay. So master data would have time profile as one of the attribute. They will have key figures. Then you have planning area. Okay, all this is fed in the planning area. Okay, and then you have the versions A or version B. Okay, which is part of the data sets. So one planning area can have different versions. Okay, and you also have something called as a baseline data. Okay. So when we get into the system, you will understand how, a single attribute is first generated or created in the master data, and then how it gets linked to the other attributes, and in the end it forms, the consolidated master data, because everything has to link to each other to get, the overall functionality going up and running. For example, you may have a different master data for a product. Okay. So product will have its own master data wherein you will find the typical fields like product ID, which is basically the product material number, okay, which is called as ID. Then you have product description. It will describe what sort of product it is, the kind of name of the product, okay, which is called as product description. Then you will have product type, whether it is finished goods or it is raw mats or it is a packaging material or it is a semi-finished goods. So this is basically the product type. Then you have product family, like five or six different products or even more products consolidating together would have a linkage to a product family. Okay. For example, if we are in the bakery shop, you will have all different kinds of cakes, and these cakes will have a form family which is called as cakes. Similarly, you may have a lot of different varieties of the chocolates under the family of chocolates. So this is how actually it works. And finally, you will have the unit of measure, for each and every product, like some of these products may be sold in eaches. Okay, you sell them as one each. So the unit of measure for that will be eaches or EA. Some of them will be sold in pounds. Some of them can be sold in kilograms, so on and so forth. So this is how the product master data would look like. Similarly, we would have another master data called as a customer master data. Okay, so customer master data would have the customer ID or customer code related. Okay. Then you have customer description, that is name of the customer region, okay, where the customer is located, then his address, so on and so forth, and his maybe tax registration number, and whatever fields are important to the particular country or particular states. So all this information will be part of customer master data. So we have now product master data, we have on the other side customer master data. Now you need to have a linkage between the two, because one customer can buy one product, or or he can buy multiple products. So each customer needs to be linked to all the different products. Okay, so this is where the concept of primary key comes into picture. So we have something called as a primary key. Okay, so which is a unique field in each and every material master, which is linked to each other, and based on which it creates the linkage to the entire master data. So when we get into the practical scenario, we'll get into the details of how the individual attributes are created, how the individual material masters are created, and then how they are getting linked to each other. Okay, so we'll see that in a short while when we get into the system.
I have a question. So for the companies that you have worked with in the past, so for the companies that consider their master data pretty accurate, do you
Yeah.
notice any patterns in what they do to keep it at that level?
Yes. So basically, there has to be a responsible person for, reviewing the data. So first of all, you have to define the review criteria and the frequency of review. Okay. So you don't need to review all the master data, every month or every 2 months. Even if a company performs the review of the a consolidated review, let's say every 6 months, okay, that is fine. So basically, first thing is to define the frequency of the review. Second thing is to define, what are the key figures that needs to be defined based on the roles of the different persons. For example, a demand planner. Okay, a demand planner basically needs to review every time, what are the different algorithms that are working in the systems. Okay, and he has to review, okay, if some of the algorithms are not working fine, then he has to maybe get into the system and try and change the algorithm in the forecasting statistical module. Okay, so this I would consider as a tactical move, okay, not a strategic move. So this is based on the person to person or planner to planner based on his product portfolio. Okay, but
Yeah.
a demand planner, if he's responsible for maintaining the data, okay, and if he's doing the forecasting at the customer level, then he has to review, all the products master data once. There may not be any correction as such, but the review has to be done on the periodic interval. Okay, so you have to define the types of the review and the frequency of the review and the responsible person. So if you assign that task to the individual persons, then I think your master data is always clean.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we get into the details of the configurations to model a business. Okay, so first we'll look at the planning models. Okay, in planning models, what are the entities? Okay, you will have the entity called as planning area, then planning level. Okay, version. Okay, when I say version, the version may keep on changing. Like for example, version 01. If you change something, then you have version 02, which will be the revised version if there is anything change. But for most of the organization, the version doesn't change very frequently. It remains more or less the same. Okay. Then you have key figures. Okay, we'll get into the details of what exactly is key figure, and some of you may be already aware because you are part of this since last couple of weeks. Then how the key figure calculation takes place. For example, unit price as an individual, it is a key figure. Okay, but this price also has a dimension that it has to have a calculation, background calculation under this. So when you set up the master data for the key figure called as unit price, in the calculation tab, you have to put a formula like, it has to be always a unit price defined by the person, multiply it by, the quantity of the product. Okay. And then it will give you a kind of a revenue. Okay. Or the sales value for a particular transaction. So in short, this is how, the definition of key figure calculation takes place. So this calculation may differ for the various key figures. Okay, for unit price, you will have a different calculation, wherein for the lead times, you may have a completely different calculation, something like that. So key figure calculation input. So what are the inputs required to calculate, the dimension of the key figure? And then what kind of output it will give. So that needs to be defined. Then operator for planning area. Operator for planning area basically, is related to the group of the people who are given access, so that nobody outside this team of people, gets into this particular area and mess up with the master data. So this is how the planning entity works. You also find some of the explanations in the next step. Then you have master data type. Okay, as I mentioned in the previous slide, on this slide, you have master data attributes as key figures. Okay, you have reference master data type. Reference master data type is something which is basically used for referring to some other master data and copying. For example, if you are introducing a totally new product, okay, which does not exist so far, and it's a new product. So if you introduce a new product, you can select, the reference master data from a similar product which is already in your portfolio, so that you can copy all the fields. Okay. So if there are, let's say, 20 different fields which needs to be copied, so system will automatically copy 20 fields, and out of these 20 fields, you may have to change or edit only couple of fields. So you save on the time. So this is why the reference. Then you have compound master data. So we'll see how the compound master data works, and external master data type. So use some master data basically used from the external systems like ERP, okay, which is connected to your SAP IBP system, but it's a standalone system. So if you want your SAP IBP system to fetch some of the master data from some external system, you have the functionality in SAP and you can do that. For example, if you have built in your SAP IBP system for the entire operation from, starting from receiving the customer order till the delivery of the customer order. However, the transportation or, shipment is not included in your SAP IBP. Then you have a separate standalone system which is called as, let's say, for example, TM module, which is transportation module. Okay, there is a separate module available in SAP which is called as transportation module. The external master data type. So here SAP has functionality to fetch the master data from some external system and use some of the parameters for, doing the jobs of SAP IBP functionality. Now we get into the planning model entities. So in the planning models, you have time profile, okay, time profile level, and time profile attributes. Okay. So this basically talks about different aspects of the time profile. So when you define the time, okay, you have to give basically, first thing that you need to input whether your time profile is it a weekly, or it is monthly, or it is quarterly, or it is yearly. Okay, for example, these four options are there. Then you also have something called as a technical weeks, or, some, or a fiscal month, something like that. So all these options you have. So you have to define for a particular period or for a particular report what sort of time profile you want to assign. You always have the flexibility of changing this as and when you want to change it. So it's basically an editable field, okay, which can be changed based on your requirement. It's not a static field. Okay. Similarly, you also have to define the horizon. Okay, that is from, let's say, if you select the month, then you have to define whether it is from Jan till next year December, something like that. So for the respective profiles that you have selected, you have to define all the other key attributes. Okay, that is the levels and the profile attributes. So that's how it works. The next one is attributes. Attributes are elemental building blocks that describes an individual field. So even though in SAP IBP, most of the time you hear the word called as attributes, and very often, most of the people gets confused. What exactly is this attribute called? Does it have some different meanings, some different technical aspects? No. Attribute is basically an individual field and data type. So attribute can also be the column header, okay, like product ID can be an attribute, and it can also be a key figure. Okay, key figure means basically the data, the actual data which is used. So just remember one thing, attribute is nothing but an individual field in the SAP. Okay, it's basically the name of the column you can consider. Next one is planning operator. So planning operators basically are the functions that are associated with the planning area. Okay, you can read through this. Okay, and I'll explain to you in the meantime. I'll just give you maybe 20 seconds to read through this. So using planning operator, basically you can create the model and plan the network of supply chain related to locations, production steps. So using planning operator, you can create most of these activities. You can add the bill of materials. You can have, the time series and data for the consensus demand. So everything basically is done in the function called as a planning operator. So it is basically the kind of an operational part of the system, the processing of the system, of the IBP system, which is called as a planning operator. Okay, so we have four major steps in the configuration cycle. One is define. Okay, first we have to define the master data in the system, then activate the master data. You can also import the master data, and finally use it. Okay, so these are the four major steps in the process of configuration cycle. So having a little bit of a deep dive in the process, first you have to define the planning area. Basically, this is the starting point for creating any master data or any report, because every time when you get into such kind of either a report making or getting into the master data creation, the first thing that you have to define is planning area. Which area you want to create this report, or which area you want to run this report. Then basically activate. If once you have done the master data setup, then you will always feel that this is still an inactive master data. So there is one click which you have to perform after the creation of the master data to activate the master data. You have the possibility of importing the master data from an Excel spreadsheet directly in the SAP IBP. So if, for example, when you are in the implementation phase and you have, let's say, 500 different products which you want to upload the master data for, you cannot individually create the master data for each and every product by getting into the web system. So what you have to do is you have to download the template from SAP IBP for the master data, a blank template. So it will give you a structure of what sort of fields you need to enter and what should be your key figures. And you just need to type them in the Excel spreadsheet or copy paste in the Excel spreadsheet, create the flat file, and directly upload in the IBP. So it happens in few seconds. And the last is basically once everything is set, you can be up and running in the planning area. So you can start creating your stock plans, creating your production plan, creating your forecast plan, so on and so forth. So all the activities can be started thereafter once you are fully ready with the master data setup. Any questions? No? Okay. So using a configuration to model a business, what all things at a high level are basically required. So one is first you have to create the attributes. Okay, when we get into the practical session in 20-30 minutes from now, you will actually understand what exactly I'm talking about. So first you have to create the attributes. Okay, and the attribute will be related to product master data type, customer master data type, and it can also be related to the time profile. Okay, so these are the attributes which needs to be created first in the planning area. Okay, then you have to define the planning level. Okay, and define the sets to these attributes. Like for example, when you are in the implementation phase and you have, let's say, 500 different products, you cannot individually create the master data for each and every product by getting into the web system. So all the activities can be started thereafter once you are fully ready with the master data setup. Any questions? No? Okay. So using a configuration to model a business, what all things at a high level are basically required. So one is first you have to create the attributes. Okay, each of these planning product master will have its unit price, okay, which is basically key figure unit price. Okay. So if you have an attribute which is a combination of two attributes, that is a product line and a customer. Okay, so this is a combination. So what can you have with this combination? Okay, one customer can buy one product or he can buy 10 different products. So these are different combinations. So these different combinations would have different unit prices associated to that. Okay, so that's why you see here unit price key figure. Okay, and it will vary based on the individual customer and product combination. Then you have consensus demand quantity. Okay, consensus demand quantity. Then you have actual demand quantity. One you have consensus demand quantity, and the second one is the revised demand consensus demand quantity if you have any revision to it. And the last one is basically the actual quantity key figure. So within key figures you have a lot of other options, where you can save these key figures in the data sets for your review. Either it is statistical forecast review or it can also be a supply planning review. Okay, so this is basically the picture or the diagram or the flow chart for the requirements for configuration of a model of a business. Okay, so moving on to the next chapter, which is basically creating an attribute. Okay, so creating an attributes are the fields that are required for planning. Okay, they are similar to info objects in SAP. So they are basically nothing but the objects of SAP. Okay, so you can have attribute ID, you can have name of the attribute, you can have description and data types, and of course the length of the attribute. So these are the key aspects that you need to add as a part of attribute. So first, as we have seen in the previous slide, first we have to create the attribute, and this is the process of creation of the attribute. Okay, so let's get into the system now and try and create some of these master data. Okay, so these master data, these are basically the basic master data. So normally these master data are updated in the web user interface of SAP IBP system. So we all have to log into the web interface. Okay. Okay. So now basically we'll have to create the attribute in this web, but in this web system. So before that, okay, we have to create the key fields like this, as you can see in the presentation. Okay. The attribute ID, name, description, data type, and length. So what I did here is this is basically the first step. Okay.
Hey, ZaranTech now offers SAP corporate training? That's right. Train your workforce in SAP with our comprehensive program. We offer customized courses, certified trainers, and hands-on labs for both individuals and businesses. Our standout features? Bespoke training, fully configured servers for practice, in-house materials, and a dedicated LMS. Plus, get session recordings and 24/7 support. From functional to technical modules, we have got it all. Choose ZaranTech for SAP training and watch your team excel. Learn, upskill, succeed with ZaranTech.
So here you see attribute, description, data type, length, and decimal digit if it is required for a particular field. Okay. So these are the basically the attributes or the column header, I would say, that we need to create. Okay, you can have any of these names. So basically what we want to create here is the product, the customer, and customer product. Okay, so these are the three simple combinations we'll create in the attribute as a first step. So for this, I need to have first product ID. Okay, the description is product ID, and the data type is basically what sort of data will this have. Okay, this is basically an NAVCHAR. That means it can be numerical, it can be alphanumerical, or it can have variable characters. So N stands for numerical, A stands for alphanumerical, and then V is variable and characters. So your product ID basically has a maximum length of 20. You have to define the length. If you define the length as 10, then you have to limit you cannot change it later on once you have created this. So in the beginning, in the first stage only, you have to define the length of the characters. Okay. So it should not be exorbitantly high. Okay, so you have to be practical enough to define the length of the character so that it is easier for everyone, to use it. So first field is product ID, and you have length of 20. The second one is product description, and you have length of 60 characters. Third one is product family. Fourth one is product type, and fifth one is product line. Okay, so these are the five main attributes we have to create in the product category. Similarly, for customer, I have selected three. So we have customer ID, customer description, customer region, and the length is 20, 60, and 20. And the last one is customer product. So there we have the attribute called as unit price, because unit price will be common attribute for these two customers. We'll have unit price and the description as unit price, and it is decimal. So the length is 18 characters, and decimal can be up to 6 decimal points. Okay. So now let's get into the system. So are you in the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can go here in the right corner, or you can type here. So you can go here in the right corner, or you can select the model configuration. Click on the model configuration here. So you see all the tiles out there. Just find the model configuration. Are you there?
Yes.
So do you see all these tiles? First tile is attribute model configuration, then master data model configuration, then reason code, so on and so forth.
Yes.
So click on the attribute model configuration. Okay. So you will get into this particular screen.
Is it
Okay,
possible for someone to not have access to that? Yeah, I don't see it unless I'm going crazy.
Okay.
Let me share my
It's
screen.
possible.
It's possible. Okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on the settings.
Yeah, my
like
access.
the security settings. Yeah.
Okay. All right, y'all just follow along.
So you are safe. You don't need to really,
Yeah,
back
have
your
a
head with data.
yeah, have a different type of role.
Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
I can just follow along.
Okay, perfect. Prior to that, there is also one particular tile called master data, which is basically designing of the master data. So I think that even nobody has that. That's only restricted to IT. So based on the roles of the team members, these tiles or these authorizations are defined. Okay. But so are you able to see these attributes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we click here on the attributes model configuration. Okay, you will come onto this particular screen. Okay, so you see here all your attributes which is already created by your company, starting with A, because your company name starts with A. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll go and create new. Okay, so if you create new, you will get this particular screen. Okay, so first you copy paste the ID, the product ID for the first. You can copy it in the Excel file. Okay, and the next one you put the name from the same file, the next column.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll over to it.
Okay.
Oh wait, that's the description.
Yeah, you can copy the same to name as well, because that's a mandatory field. Third field is not mandatory, but
Okay.
you can copy. Yeah, 2 and 3 should be same. Okay, then you have already selected the data type. You want to have it the same, right?
Yes.
And the length as 20. Okay, and you can click on save and new and enter the new one. Okay, it's already exists. Can you close this and go to the search bar and see if it already exists? I'll also check V01. Type on the okay, I think it has just created before you.
I am so sorry. I just
No problem. Yeah, so you can stop for some time, and maybe or else you can use some different word. Don't use the A or B or Z, because you can use some other alphabet. And
Well, we can also alternate. We can alternate.
yeah. Okay, you can do the next one then and let third to be done by, so we are a little bit fast on it. Or else you want to use some other field, you can use. Yeah, type product description in the name and description. Okay, and the length is 60, right? Okay, save and new. This one also created. Yeah.
I got the same error for the third one, so I just changed the name to test.
Okay. If the same name is already used by somebody, then
Vibe, did you want to go through all the product ones?
sorry, is this for me or for?
Yep. Yep, for sure.
Okay, I'll do the customers.
So Gavin, we are basically entering the data in the master data type, okay, and creating the attributes. So this is the first step where we are creating the attributes. then we get into the master data and use these attributes. And this is how slowly we build into, the own entire master data.
Good. Thanks.
Yeah.
So this would be something we do rarely, right? Like on rare occasions, like if we find an
Yes, yes.
attribute we want to add to the master data.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. This is basically, now since you have already implemented the IBP, I don't think so you have to really, you will get even a chance once, to get this updated, because you may have different products, but you just need to add the products in the master data. Not we are creating right from scratch, when before the implementation of the IBP, normally the companies has to do this. But
Okay.
I thought it's good exercise, to get this done so that the team is aware from the grassroots level as to how the system
Got it.
basically starts.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any of the modules, are we covering how to like create key figures? I don't know if you already did that already.
No, key figures basically will be part of this module only. Okay. And basically we have the combination of master data as module 3 and, configuration as module 4. So all these master data related things will be captured in these two modules. So you
Okay.
are only available for the configuration, right? From and after that, you
Yeah.
won't be in the training, right? Product
Yeah, I can check my calendar. It was suggested to me to join certain modules, like my boss
Okay.
chose.
Okay. So what's your role? So
So
I can, yeah.
yeah, on my role, I'm part of the strategy team. What I do from my end is a lot of strategy work. So I put together do a lot of dashboarding work. So I pull data from HANA models, which are linked to IBP and other sources as well, like another source being SAP. So I'm a senior supply chain analyst, but I have done some master data work in the past. But in my
Okay.
role, as I work on more projects, they want me to get a little bit more familiarized with IBP. So they thought these modules would be a little bit helpful for me as I look to learn more about IBP and different attributes and key figures that we use.
Okay. So currently, there are some modules like charts and graphs. So I don't know if you are already doing some kind of an MIS reporting using the IBP tool, or you have some different MIS tool.
So we use Power BI and
Power BI.
SAP Data Scale. So we have HANA tables that are
Okay.
linked to SAP that we pull
Okay.
from and create the relationships and do the modeling within Power BI to display the dashboards.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, that's perfect. So you can reach out or you can discuss with and try and under because she is fully updated with what all modules are left from now till the next week. Okay, so you can just try and go through with her and try and understand, if you want to get into some of these modules.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Okay, yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so going back to you, are we done with this? Now, can you just go back and just go back one screen? Click on the back button. So we check, okay, sorry. Okay, you click on the model configuration attribute, first one. Okay, and in the first search, you type V01. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so we have product ID, we have product type, product price, product line, product family, customer ID. Okay, so unit price, have you created the unit price? Yeah, it's there. Okay, perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I see something is missing because I have 9. Product line, I think, is there. Product type is there. Product family is there. Product description is not there. I think product description is missing. Yeah.
I just created.
Okay. Is done?
Yeah, done.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So now we have created the attributes. Okay. So now we move on to the slide pack again, and I'll again share my screen. So in the next phase, we'll create the master data using these attributes. Okay, so we get back to the presentation and then we move on further. So now the next step that we'll see is basically, creation of the master data, simple master data. So there are two types of master data mainly created. One is a simple master data and another one is the compound master data. So we'll first look at the simple master data. So in simple master data, the types are like categories of data. For example, customer, location, product, resources, and product location categories. So these are basically, a simple type of data, which is individual contributor. to the data sets. For example, customer ID will be only assigned to a particular customer. Similarly, the description or name of the customer will only be associated with that particular ID. So it does not have, the compounding effect, or it does not have kind of sharing information with the other set of the data. Okay, the master data type can have many attributes or supporting datas. Okay, it can have supporting data like, for example, the country or customer region. Okay, so these can be linked to this particular master data in a simple master data type. Okay, now we look at how do we create a simple master data type. Okay, for creating a simple master data types, basically which is one master data type. For example, product, customer, location, that we have already seen. Compound is something that we'll see in the later stage, so I won't touch upon compound right now. So we can again go back to the system and try and create the customer master data. So we can again log in. So now for creating the customer master data, okay, simple customer master data, you have similar attributes, okay, and you have one for product and one for customer. So this earlier we have created the attributes. Now we are creating a master data. Okay. And this master data will have these attributes, or in other words, these attributes will be assigned to this particular master data type. Okay. So I will share this with you guys on chat. So one of you can log in and share your screen.
In cloud, or this is also in cloud or Excel?
Yeah, it's also in cloud in the web interface. Yeah.
All right.
You are sharing?
Yep, sure.
Okay. So you go back. No, not here. You go back.
This is attributes. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this is the attribute. So you have to go to the next screen. Exactly. Master data types. Okay. Now in this, you click on the little corner of the new tab. There you will see the data types. You see here new. Yeah. You see simple. Okay. Now in the ID, okay, you select V01 product. Okay. And then you can write product. Okay. That's, yeah, product name you can write. Okay. And then click on the button called add. You see here a button add. Okay. Now we are creating the master data and we have to add the attribute. So in the search window, you type V01. Okay, and enter. Now you select all the attributes related to the product. Okay, only related to the product, not related to customers. Okay, so you can select product ID. Okay, from the product line, product family. Yeah, how many are there? You see product description, product family, product line, and product type. Okay, and you click on the select. Okay, now you see all these product attributes are selected under the master data of V01 product. Okay. So now you see here the key. So wherever you see product ID, V01 product ID, click on the key tab. No, not that. Third one. Yeah. Okay. So you are setting this as a primary key. Okay. Are you getting my point? Okay. Only product ID you are selecting as a primary key. So whenever you have, for example, if you want to take the cross reference of this particular master data, okay, you have a reference ID or a primary key called as product ID. So if the moment you get this primary key assigned to some other master data, all the fields of the product master data will get copied there. Okay. Do you all know the function of the primary key in the normal database?
I haven't used this before, no.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
primary key allows you to talk to multiple tables.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it allows you to filter, based on that key.
Yeah. So now this key will allow you to get into, because you have selected product ID as primary key. So the moment you have this as a reference key in your other tables, other master data table, you will automatically, you can, kind of VLOOKUP, the product description, product family, all these fields are already accessible to you in the different products. So it can share the information only with single primary key. Okay. Now you click on this save button. Okay. Now you have created the simple master data for a product. Okay. you see that it is still inactive in the assignment status. You see that it is still inactive, but you have a tab over on top next to the edit and checks where you can activate this. So click on active and activate this. Okay. Now this has become active. Okay. Similarly, you have to create the same for customer. Okay. Now, can you try and do this again? Go back
just
one
did.
step. Oh, you already did? That's pretty good. So you have activated that as well. Let me see my screen. Yes, I see that in my screen. So wherever you may, since you are sharing your screen, you can go back one screen, okay, and type V01 on the search tab. V01. Okay. So you see that the customer master data is created by, okay, and it's activated and it's done with 3 attributes. Okay. And product master data is created by you with 5 attributes. Okay. So, so now this master data has already linked the information from other attributes that we had created previously. Okay. So are you with me so far? Any specific
Just a quick
questions or doubts? Yeah.
Yeah, just one. So for example, this, right? This is in the test environment, this is the SKU number pretty much, right? And then these are the attributes. And we are just
Correct.
setting them up. We are setting them up. So for example, this is a new product which I'm setting up master data for so that it shows up in my IBP, right?
No, this is not. No. This is not the new product. This is basically the master data for the new product. Okay, this is basically the field name. Okay, product ID. So under this, you will have different products. Okay. So for example, if you see, let me get into the system. Okay. So I'll just share my screen to put things in the context. Okay. Now, okay, what we have created is this customer ID, product ID, location ID, figure. Okay. Not this. Your actual customer name and actual customer ID will be part of your data sets. Okay. In the master data. Currently, what we have created is this customer
Got
ID
it.
and customer code. Okay.
Gotcha.
Understood? Yeah.
Yep, understood.
Okay. So, yeah. Any specific questions? So we have created the master data simple type. Okay, and then we next move to the master data of compounding type. I'll first go to we have created a simple master data, and now we get into the compound master data type. Okay, we proceed, right? Or you are still doing something? Hello, Victoria.
You can proceed.
Okay, perfect. Okay, in the compound master data type, okay, a planning object is a combination of attributes or other master data types. Okay, so far we have seen in the simple master data type, it is basically one is to one relationship. Now it can have one is to different many relationships. A simple planning object is comprised of one master data type, for example, customer or a product master data, and a compound planning object is basically a combination of simple planning object. Okay, it's a little bit confusing, but I'll again go back to this file. Okay, and you see here simple unit price of a product. Okay, it is linked to customer and product. Okay, you can have unit price only for a single product. Okay, but unless and until it is bought by a customer, it does not form the complete relation between each other. So unit price will most of the times will have a combination of a product and a customer. Okay, are you getting my point here? So that is called as a compound master data type. Okay. For example, customer product is based on customer and product master data when the key figures containing the key product and customer ID is loaded. Okay. It checks against the compound master data type for the valid combination. So wherever we have, these key figures having relation with other attributes, okay, more than one attribute, then it is called as a compound master data, and it fetches the data from different attributes. Okay, so below are basically the compound master data type. They are made up of simple master data types. They validate the data of the simple master data types. Okay, and then they define the combination of planning attributes that can be planned. So basically, they have a combination of different planning attributes. So one planning attribute can be related to the customer price, which is linked to the product, as well as it is linked to the customer. Okay. So now we get into the details of combined master data type. So maybe you can again log in or share your screen, and I will share
can.
this. Okay, and I will share this to you. Okay, did you get it? Perfect. Okay, so hold on, no, not there. So go back a screen. Okay, we start from the beginning. Okay, so you select the master data type again.
What sets ZaranTech apart in SAP corporate training? It's our unique blend of expertise and innovation. We offer customized courses tailored to each client's needs, ensuring relevant, targeted learning. Our vast trainer database brings you wisdom from the best in the field. Need resources? Access our extensive training material repository anytime. We are all about measurable results, providing detailed student metrics to track progress. And we don't just teach, we build community. Join our thriving social media network, connecting learners beyond boundaries. With ZaranTech, you are not just training, you are transforming your SAP expertise.
Next one, not the attribute. Selected master data type, right? Yeah, okay. In the new, click on the new next button and you select compound. Okay. Now here you put the ID from the file which I have given. Put it as customer product, the first column. Select the first one, Z01 customer product. So you are able to differentiate that. Okay, and there you can put customer product only. Okay, then you go to add and you select V01 or just type V01. Okay, select both of these. Now you are selecting customer as well as product, right? And this itself, like this, for example, V01 product itself has 5 different attributes assigned to this, correct? This master data. And customer master data has 3 different attributes assigned to this, as we did in the past, correct? You select, okay, let me check. You have the primary key, okay? Now you have selected 2 master data, correct? Now you have to add one more master data called unit price. Okay, so click on the add, yes, there, and add the, yeah,
This one?
V01 unit, yeah, V01 unit price, correct? Select, okay, let me see. Now you have 2 key figures, 2 primary keys selected, void, unit figures, okay. You just save it and activate. So we are done. Now, did you understand this? Would you like to do one more time with a different customer with all the different combinations all together in next 10 minutes? So I'll give you both another 10 minutes. You can run this exercise again quickly, because if you understand this thoroughly, then you will you will be able to link the other attributes together. Otherwise, we tend to miss the link of how we are getting into the next levels. Okay, so you can use the same, or you have to use different letter. Instead of V now, you use some other letters. But just keep in mind what letters you are using, so that once we are done with this exercise, then we can delete that master data from your system,
You want me to, do you want us to do just one attribute each, or obviously all the lines?
No, you will have to do all the lines so that you can get the entire combination. So later on, we'll have
Gotcha.
a good amount of data, to play around. Yeah.
Can you see my screen? Am I doing something wrong here? Couldn't save I'm on the customer table.
Okay, just okay. Oh, you are still in the attributes, is it? You're creating the attributes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What does it show? Enter the ID. Okay, you are using the same ID number. I think that's why it's giving you the okay. You are saying we are, then it should work. Yeah. Change the did it work?
No.
Try again. Till end 60. Okay, 20. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. For the compound master data, I'm selecting everything, right? And attributes.
No, for compound, you will select only the 2 master datas, customer and product, and then you will add the unit price. Correct?
Will be this.
Yeah.
No. Will be
The
customer.
one which you have, ideally you should be able to see only 4 here. So you are creating the single, right? Or the compound one.
Compound master data.
Okay, you have already done with single master data, is it?
This table, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. See, so when I'll just share my screen. So when you basically select the compound master data, that time you see the master data tables, not the attribute tables. What figure I could see on your screen is you are seeing here the attribute tables. You go here and then you selected the compound master data, right? And when you select add the compound master data, you see the attributes there. Let me check your screen. Share your screen, please. Okay, let's check with the results first. In the meantime, you can check what's wrong with your figures. So have you assigned the attributes here? Okay. Are you done with your stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so can you share your screen?
Can you see my screen?
Oh, sorry. I was speaking and then I was on mute. I'm extremely sorry. Okay, so this is correct. Above you can see here, this is the compound master data screen. And we can see VS01 customer. This is basically the master data for customer. And this in itself will have a linkage of 3 attributes from the customer, correct? Customer ID, customer description, and customer region. Okay. Then you have, the customer product as the master data where we have created, and this itself has linked to 5 different attributes. Okay, so this is perfect. You can see here 5 and 3 and 1. Are you done or you're confused?
No, I was stuck there. That's why I was asking. So here I did create the attributes, and then on master data table I just couldn't find those. So I'm going back a screen, right? And I'm going in
Okay,
master
yeah.
data types, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to new and then compound, right?
First simple.
Oh, first simple. Okay.
Master data. Yeah.
Oh, I think I missed this step. So I still have to.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
So first you have to create the simple master data. So you want 5 minutes because we are still on time, so no problem. You can take 6 minutes and then we again revisit it and then move forward.
All right. Yeah. So I'll just create these 3 simple master datas and then link them in the compound, right?
Yeah, perfect. Now we have to assign the primary key. You're doing it correctly.
For all of them, or just
No, you have to assign only VR01 product ID and
Sorry, if this is simple, should it just be
oh yes, this is the simple one.
like just the customer attributes or just the product attributes?
That's right. So I think I find this little bit of confusing because I think you are using VR01, VR01 all. This is customer product.
yes.
So have you created, first you created the attributes, right?
Attributes are created, yes.
Okay. And after that, you created the simple one or you missed that simple master data?
That's what I'm doing now, right?
Okay.
Simple master data.
Yeah. So in simple master data, you have, if you go back to your file, you have to create 2, right? I'll just show. First, you created this individual attributes, total 9 attributes. Okay. 5 for product, 3 for customer, and 1 for customer ID. Okay. These are single attributes. Okay. Only the attributes. Then you went into the master data. You have 2 master data, one for Z01 product and one for customer, correct? Then you have compound master data, that is Z01 customer product. Okay, and in that you select these 2 and then you add unit price separately. Do you understand, Vaibhav, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, here in the second scale, if you are in the second step, you just have to create one master data with Z01 product and one master data with Z01 customer. Okay, because all the attributes are already linked in the attribute stage. Did you get what I said?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if I missed a step somewhere because.
Yeah, I think what you did is, in the master data, simple master data, we should only see a couple of steps. But in your screen, I see everything got added. Okay, maybe you can try and navigate it little later, and after this call I will get into the system and try and see what exactly went wrong, and then I will try to explain you, and then we do it again.
Yeah, all right, we can move on.
Okay, perfect. So we'll move on. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing. That's why I wanted to go step by step, because as you move further, with the time periods and stuff like that, key figures, then you tend to lose on what we did in the beginning. So that's why I thought today we'll stop at this only. Okay, and we'll get into the system and do the time periods and other stuff. So, okay, where were we? Okay, so we were here creating the compound master data type. Okay, we did that in the system, and we'll get into it again as a refresher. So now next one is basically creating a time profile. Okay, so we'll see how the time profile is created. So time profile basically defines the time dimension of the planning view. Okay, it defines the various level of the time buckets in which the data can be managed. Okay, So in simple terms, if I take this Excel interface, okay, till the time I log in, just allow me a minute. Okay, so these are basically the different dimensions of time, okay, which are basically available in the system planning view, where you can select and modify your reporting, based on your requirement. So I'm just logging in the meantime to show you what are the different features available in the time fence. Okay, so if you go to the edit view in the Excel, I've now connected to Excel interface. You see here a time tab, then you see attribute, key figures, layout, filter, and alerts. Okay, so this is basically a planning view. So in this time, you have periods here, is quite used to it now because we have been working in this file since last couple of weeks. So you see a period here, which is total, and you also have the option of periods and total. This is one click, one filter available. Okay, you can always add and select periods here and select total here if you want, based on your reports. Okay, next one is the label. So the moment you add total, you have to give here a total, like for example, grand total, something like this. And then you move on to the next one, which is time level. So you have to define the level, what level you want to run your report at. So here you can have it on the month level, you can have day, you can have technical weeks, you can have normal weeks, calendar weeks, month, quarter, year, fiscal month, fiscal quarter, and fiscal year. So based on all these parameters, you can select one of the filter, whichever you want, or you can select multiple filters. Okay, but these filters should not contradict with each other. For example, if you select a week and then in the next you select the month, somewhere down the line it will throw some error. So you can have the periods and the total, or you can have periods and total as one of the filters. The next one is rolling. Here you see rolling, fixed, from roles, and to roles. Okay, rolling means your from will also roll, to will also roll, and then you have fixed, wherein both these periods are fixed. From rolls means it will start rolling from this period and the end period is fixed, and two rolls means it will. I'm a little bit confused now. Vaibhav, do you recall the definition of from rolls and two rolls? Vaibhav, are you there?
Same thing, sorry. So I think from roles is the starting period is rolling and the end period is fixed.
Yeah.
Two roles is the starting period is fixed and the end period is rolling. Fixed, both are fixed, and rolling, both are rolling.
Correct. That's correct. Okay, so these are basically different functionalities available in the time settings, and this is what you have to define in the master data type, like how we define the attributes, how we define the master data for a customer and for a product. You can also define the master data settings at the period level. So I think most possible combinations are already factored in your SAP IBP implementation since the time it is implemented. And I don't know what exactly you are using frequently. So are you working on the weekly buckets or you work on the monthly buckets for your planning?
Both. So for the 13-week, we've got a 13-week bucket. And for the monthly plan, we've got a 18-month bucket.
Okay, for the 18 months. So at any point in time, you have the forecast visibility for the next 18 months, is it?
Sorry, let me correct that. So forecast visibility is for the next fiscal year, which is for us, it ends in September 2024.
Okay.
But the supply plan, which I work on, that has a tentative supply plan for the next 18 months based on, for the next year, it's the budget quantity, and then it's the statistical forecasted quantity, which I use for the tentative plan.
Okay, so when you review the forecast, do you review the forecast on a weekly level or you consider the month horizon?
Month horizon. Some customers for bulk, they do have a quarterly bucket, so they'll send me a forecast every quarter.
Okay. And okay, the customer inputs, like for example, if customer gives you the input of the forecast as to so and so product I'll be buying in the next 3 months. So who enters that in the system? Is it done by you or it is done by the sales team?
So it's done by me. So sales employees send me and my boss the forecast, and then as we went through the SNOP process, the first week is the demand review, followed by the one-to-one to develop a consensus. So that is when I bring these things up. If it's in the short term, I call them directly, and then try to do that input, show them the historicals. But if it's, down the road, I make that a part of my one-to-one review and develop a consensus and then put it in.
Okay. So in short, basically the sales team or the employees from the sales team, they do not use the SAP IBP very often.
No, they
Or
don't
entry.
no, they don't enter data, at least for Canada now.
Okay. Is it the same for US?
Yes.
It's also the same.
Okay. So most of the activities are done by the supply chain groups in the SAP IBP. It's not the sales team. Okay.
Yeah.
And demand manager or demand planner is part of the supply chain organization, right? In your organization, or it's part of the sales organization? Because in some
Supply chain.
organization, because in some organization, demand manager is also, he's part of the commercial or sales organization. Okay, perfect. So you are being in the supply chain, you are in the right position to kind of discuss the forecast and get at the consensus forecast, right?
Yeah. We also, on my end, it's also a lot of customer facing weekly, monthly meetings. So I directly get the input from the customer as well and then discuss it with the sales team.
Okay, that's interesting. That's really good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so moving on with the next part related to the time profile. Okay, so time profiles basically must be continuous and no gaps in the timeline. They cannot overlap. Okay, because if we have the conflicting input, for example, as I said, if you select the weeks as well as the month, then in some cases it may throw the error. Or if you select a particular month and then leave a gap, then also it may throw error. For some of the reports, it will work. I'm not saying that for universally for all the reports it will throw error, but for the historical data, yes, it can definitely work. So time profile itself is identified by a unique ID, okay, which is an integer between 0 to 999999. Okay, so it's always based on the calendar. Okay. So as we have seen, the time profile consists of various time profile levels such as months, quarters, years, weeks, fiscal years, fiscal quarters, and, fiscal months. So all the possible combinations can be factored in here at the master data level. So if you do not put them in the master data level, then this functionality is not available in the actual system. So it allows you a flexible data organization, okay, with respect to the profile level distinguished by the unit integer. So basically, it gives you a lot of flexibility in the selection criteria. So it will help you to basically, slice and dice the data in the various forms. And you can also collate the data, and it also helps you for the MIS reporting, because it's extremely important for the MIS reporting. One thing is basically to work on the data sets for your day-to-day activity, wherein you can drill down into the micromanagement level, wherein for the MIS reporting, you always look at, the high level picture, the consolidated view, which can be presented to the management. So you can always have the hierarchy, lower level periods, as well as the next higher level periods. So as you can see from the available tabs, you can always start off with the date, then go to the weeks, then go to the months, then quarter and year, so on and so forth. So as and when you require, based on your requirement, you can always flex the data. So you also have the possibility of technical weeks. Then in the planning, time profile, you also have the possibility of entering your holidays each year. So based on the holidays for the particular plant, okay, when I say particular plant, it may be a manufacturing plant, it may be a warehouse, which is servicing to the customer. So you can define your calendar in the time profile, and then based on calendar, system will not commit the date to the customer if it is a holiday in that particular region. Okay. So it's extremely important to define the calendar so that all your production planning is taken care properly, your customer planning is taken care properly, and you do not end up giving, the incorrect commitments to the customer, which eventually cannot be fulfilled. Okay. So creating the timeline. So we'll start off with the timeline. Okay. First, we'll see what issues we had in the master data, and then we switch on to the time profile, and then we move on to the further master data creation in the system. So by end of, I think most of the master data at a basic level will be created in the system, and which can be used in the later stage if we are able to, punch in some kind of sales information. So we can also create the statistical forecast using the same data sets going forward. Thanks again for joining.
Thank you. You
Bye-bye.
too.
Thank you.